Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm down at Emu Point at the moment in Albany to try and catch the sunrise. It's also given me the opportunity to come out and test some new ND filters that I have. I've picked up the Kase Revolution Professional Pack and I've come down and I want to just do a comparison to my old ND filters and the new one. Sunrise is going to be in about, I'm thinking the next 10-15 minutes. I've actually come down here a bit earlier for a change and I've got myself set up. Not too many compositions that I've been able to see so far, but I think I've picked out one that's got some nice reflections, a bit of texture in the foreground and certainly some background. So there is a hill directly in front of where the sun will come up and the clouds are a little bit thick. So I'm not really expecting too much color in the sky, but again, it's still a good time to come down and just experiment with some ND filters. This is my first composition that I've set up. I've got some rocks in the foreground, I've got a nice body of water, well, a little piece of water that's going to have some nice reflections. I've got some rocks behind that and they're kind of pointing roughly to where the sun will come up. And then behind that we've got the mountain and some nice heavy clouds. It actually looks quite moody, which is quite nice. So this is going to be my first composition. I thought I'd use this as a base just to do a comparison. So I've got 1.3 seconds, f11, ISO 100, just to get the right exposure, just to get the initial image all set up. So I'm going to take this image and then I'm going to add my old filters and then I'll try out the new filters. So these are the filters that I've currently been using. It's a set of Lee ND filters. I have a 6-stop and a 10-stop and I have a circular polarizer at the moment. So what I've added to the camera, I've just added the holder that goes onto the camera itself, and I've got a circular polarizer in there as well. So on top of that I then have the ND filter holder itself, and that clicks on to the holder that's attached to the camera. So I'm just going to attach a 6-stop ND filter. So you can see from that it is actually a fair bit of a setup, which is when you're in a rush it can be quite cumbersome. Still does a decent job. There's a lot of parts to it. On the back of the camera, it's a similar setup. F11, I've had to push the ISO out to 200 at the moment because I've hit the max exposure limit of 30 seconds. So I am going to take that shot now. So I've taken the old ND set off. I'm just going to screw in the new set. I've got the Kase filter set. The ND filter set that I have is an 82mm, but the lens itself is 77mm. So I'm just putting on the adapter. But as part of that, I'm also including the Kase magnet that's going to hold the other filters in place. So that's the initial setup, and that's all ready to go for me to add some filters. So that's already a lot easier than before. I have a circular polarizer just to make sure that it's a like-for-like comparison, so I'm just going to click that on there. That's actually connected quite easily, comes off quite easily. It's a little bit stronger than I was expecting, which is good. It's a little bit, it's actually quite a strong connection. I can feel that just grabbing as soon as I get it close. You can hear that, that's quite a nice sound. Click, you can sit here and do that all day. So that's the circular polarizer that's added. And I'm adding the equivalent to what I believe is the 6-stop. This is an ND64. So again, nice connection. They come off relatively easy. It's a little bit difficult if you want to take one off without the other one, but they both come off really easily together. But that's still quite a solid grab. So that's actually not, I don't think that's going to fall off anytime soon. Now I've taken some time just faffing around, just getting the old ND filter set off and putting the new one on. So I've dropped the ISO down to ISO 100 just to try and make it a fair comparison. Still at 30 seconds, still at f11, but I will take that photo now. So here's a comparison of the two shots. You would have seen the comparison of the two photos from the two different filters. I haven't actually seen them properly at the moment, but you would have seen the edited version. Looking on the back of the camera though, it does look like there's some shadows in the corners, which is a bit of a concern. So hey, maybe I haven't actually made the right decision in moving on from the Lee filters, but you never know. So I'll have a look at that a little bit later. The sun itself is well and truly up, and as expected, there wasn't very much color in the sky. But I've come down to another location just to try and see if I can actually do another comparison of the ND filters. I'm actually right on the beach. We've got the water coming in and out. It's not too choppy at the moment, so it's still quite relatively smooth. This is probably a good opportunity to compare the ND filters again. Well, things just got a little bit crazy then. Just as I stopped recording just then, I turned around and just in the corner of my eye I caught some dolphins jumping out of the ocean. So quickly dropped everything, grabbed my drone, tried to put my drone up, flew the drone out to see if I can catch some of the dolphins. Now, the dolphins are smarter than I am, so they swam off in complete safety, no trouble at all, didn't even see them. But I did fly the drone around for a little while. While the drone was up in the air, I might catch some video, catch some nice shots, which I did, which was nice. But just as I was taking what was going to be my last shot, I lost connection to the drone. So I tried a few different things, tried resetting my phone, unplugging cables, plugging them back in, nothing seemed to work. I was still able to control the drone with the controller, so that was good. I was able to sort of move it around a little bit just to make sure that I still had connection to the drone itself. So it was more the connection to the camera, to the phone that I actually lost. So I was able to bring it in and close to where I was, brought it down to eye height so that I could actually grab the drone if I needed to. I turned the controller off, turned the phone off, reset everything, turned everything back on, and was able to re-establish connection. So that was a good thing. But then because of the noise of the drone, I had somebody walk over to me, which I'm quite used to. People are more curious than anything else, so I'm always quite happy to talk about drones. But this gentleman came over to me and was just saying, "Oh, was that your drone?" He said, "Yes," and I showed him the drone, explained what I was doing. He said, "Yeah, I just had here from a walk, and he'd had a seizure a couple of days ago. Pretty much been told that he was lucky to be alive." So we sat around, just talked for a little bit, had a bit of a chat. But yeah, he was quite shaken up, and understandably too. So just a reminder that things can change in the blink of an eye. So it's better off to get out there and enjoy the things that you do, love the people that you're with, and just make the most of everything. So a bit of a reminder. So after everything that was just happening, I've got back to setting up the camera again. I've taken off the old ND filter and I've put on I think it's essentially the 10 stop, which is the red one. I've lost all of the nice lights just from me faffing around, so this is just more of an experiment. Just looking on the back of the screen though, it does look like there is some fringing, some vignetting on the image, so I'm really not too happy about that. But once I get back, have a look at the setup properly, I'll try and work out what's going on with that, because I did have a bit of a look, I did have a bit of a play before. Don't recall seeing any vignetting on the back of the screen, so I'm guessing it's probably something that I've done wrong, set something up a bit different to what it should be. But for the moment, it's going to take another test shot. So I will, this one is just pretty much looking at the ocean. Got some clouds coming through, they're not moving too fast, so given that this is a 10 stop, it's not full lights and there's still quite a lot of clouds around, but there is quite a lot of light hanging around. So the 10 stop has managed to push out the exposure time to 30 seconds. So I'm going to take the shot, and here it is now, and see what you think. So there's some more shots to compare. The vignetting on the back of the screen does actually look pretty bad. Quite surprised at that, so I'm kind of expecting that it's something that I'm doing wrong. But for the moment, the wind has picked up, there's starting to be some rain coming through, and so I'm just going to start packing up and head off.
So I've come back home, and the issue with the vignetting was really bothering me. I decided that I was going to do a bit of a test just to see what was the problem, whether it was something I was doing wrong or whether it was an issue with the filters. So the lens that I have at the moment is a 24-105. That was the one that I was using at the time. It's a 77mm diameter lens. I've got an adapter ring on there. I don't know if you can see it, to go from the 82 to 77. It's not a big difference, but I expected it to be okay. And that clicks on okay. So I've got all the filters back on there, and that's not what you would normally use. I think from most of the situations that I would be using this, I would have maybe one filter plus the circular polarizer, which is what I had at the morning that I was taking the images. I was to be honest, I was quite surprised about the vignetting that was on the image. It was just a little bit, and it was right on the edges, but it was there nonetheless. So I did some tests. My plan was to use one subject and then take the same photo over and over again. First time I edited it, I would have one filter, then two filters, then 3 and 4, and so on. So this is the image that I took. So this first image was just taken with the 10-stop. So there's no vignetting on here at all, which is what I would have expected. I've then added the 6-stop ND filter. And this is kind of replicating with me having one ND filter and one circular polarizer. So I've essentially got two filters on top of the lens, and you can just see the vignetting happening at this point. So this is with just two filters, and then I've added my 3-stop, so you can see the vignetting gets worse. Then I've added the circular polarizer, and again you can see that it gets worse again. So while having one filter on here was okay, having two seemed to give me the vignetting. So that's what I've essentially been trying to prove. So it's not something that I was doing wrong. It seems to be the vignetting just caused by the additional filters. Now I did expect that if I added, if I was being stupid and I added all the filters on, I would expect to see some vignetting. But I didn't expect to see vignetting by just having an ND filter and the circular polarizer. Generally, when you're using the circular polarizer, well, whenever I've used the circular polarizer, I've used it in conjunction with an ND filter. And I have noticed that, just zooming in a little bit to say 30mm on the camera, that was actually making it go away. But it's still, you're going from 24mm to 30mm. Sometimes 24mm is already not wide enough. So that was a bit of an issue to me. So that's the issue. I now have to work out if I'm going to deal with it and just deal with the vignetting, or zoom it a bit more, or go back to the old filters. I just wanted to add this to the end of the video, just in case you were doing some research into looking at these particular filters. And I didn't want you to sort of go away and have the same problem as me and not be aware of it. The filters themselves are quite nice. I've not had any other issues apart from this one. One thing that I didn't pick up was that they actually do come in a nice case. So that's quite compact and fits in my bag quite nicely with no problems at all. Takes up a significant less space than my old filters, so that's another plus. Okay, so that's it from me for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there next time.
I'm down at kind of different. I'll set some of that up, but